the storm within and the calm beyond. Imagine standing in the middle of a ferocious storm. The winds are howling, rain lashes against your face, and lightning splits the sky. While you can't stop the storm, there is something you can control: your reaction. Life is no different. We face storms of stress, setbacks, and disappointments. Yet, amidst all this chaos, we have the power to stay calm and thrive. Welcome to Buddhism Wisdom Podcast, where ancient Buddhist teachings meet the fast-paced challenges of our modern world. Today, we will explore profound insights that go beyond survival and guide us toward a life of clarity and peace. With timeless Buddhist lessons, practical examples, and transformative stories, let's journey into the heart of impermanence, mindfulness. Let's journey into the heart of impermanence, mindfulness, and compassion, keys to unlocking a positive and resilient mindset. The nature of impermanence. Anicca. Understanding impermanence, or anicca, is one of Buddhism's core teachings. It reminds us that everything in life is temporary: our struggles, joys, relationships, and even our sense of self. Accepting this truth can be liberating, reducing our attachments to outcomes and cultivating resilience. A king's lesson. This too shall pass. There's an ancient tale of a king who, overwhelmed by life's difficulties, asked his advisors for something to bring him peace. They gifted him a ring inscribed with the words, "This too shall pass." Initially, the king dismissed the simplicity of the phrase, but over time, he realized its profound truth. In moments of despair, the ring reminded him that pain is not eternal. Similarly, during triumphs, it grounded him by whispering that joy too is fleeting. This awareness didn't make him indifferent, rather it allowed him to navigate life's highs and lows with grace. Practical takeaway. Mantra for turbulent times. When overwhelmed, take a deep breath and repeat, "This too shall pass." This doesn't dismiss your emotions, but offers strength to endure. Cherishing joy, embrace happy moments fully, knowing their impermanence enhances their beauty. Mindfulness, anchoring in the present. The power of presence. Mindfulness is the art of being fully present. Often, our minds drift to past regrets or future anxieties, leaving little room for the now. Buddhism teaches that true peace lies in anchoring ourselves in the present moment. The gift of mindfulness. A story of Buddha. Once, a man approached the Buddha with anger, accusing him of disrupting traditions, expecting a heated reaction. He was surprised when the Buddha remained calm. The Buddha then explained, "If someone offers you a gift and you refuse it, to whom does the gift belong?" The man replied, "The giver." Buddha smiled and said, "Exactly. Your anger is a gift I do not accept." The story highlights the power of mindfulness. Instead of reacting impulsively, the Buddha chose to observe and respond thoughtfully. Simple mindfulness practices. Breath awareness. Sit quietly, focus on your breath, and let wandering thoughts return gently to the rhythm of your inhalation and exhalation. Gratitude reflection. At the end of the day, list 3 things you're grateful for. These could be small moments: a smile, a kind word, or a peaceful walk. Compassion, the heart of positivity. Compassion in action. Compassion, karuna, extends beyond kindness. It is a transformative way of seeing the world, encouraging us to connect with others and their struggles. Compassion doesn't just help others, it reshapes our inner world, fostering a deeper sense of purpose and positivity. A farmer's wisdom. Seeing beyond labels. A well-loved Buddhist parable tells of a farmer whose horse ran away. When neighbors sympathized, he simply said, "Maybe." Days later, the horse returned with a herd of wild horses, and the neighbors exclaimed, "His fortune." Again, he replied, "Maybe." Later, his son broke his leg taming the wild horses. When neighbors lamented, the farmer repeated, "Maybe." Finally, when soldiers came to conscript young men, they spared his injured son. This story shows that events in life are neither inherently good nor bad. Compassion allows us to embrace life's uncertainties with openness, seeing beyond immediate judgments. Practicing compassion. Loving kindness meditation. Sit Quietly visualize someone you love and repeat, "May you be happy, healthy, and at peace." Gradually extend this wish to yourself, neutral people, and even those who challenge you. Acts of kindness, simple gestures complimenting a colleague, helping a stranger can ripple positivity into the world. Stories to inspire. A lotus blooms in muddy waters. The lotus flower, a symbol of Buddhist teachings, grows in muddy waters yet blooms unstained. This mirrors our human potential. Life's challenges, no matter how messy, are opportunities for growth and transformation. The bamboo's wisdom. Bamboo bends with the wind but never breaks. Its flexibility embodies resilience instead of resisting life's storms. We can adapt, finding strength in softness. The story of King Milinda and the monk Nagasena. King Milinda was a king who was famous for his intelligence and love of debate. He often asked philosophical questions to challenge learned people. When he met the monk Nagasena, the king asked an important question. "You say there is no I, so who is talking to me? Who is practicing? Who is attaining? Who is attaining enlightenment?" Nagasena did not answer right away, but invited the king to step into a royal carriage. Then he asked, "Your Majesty, what is your carriage? Is it a wheel, a shaft, or just a name?" King Milinda realized that the carriage was just a combination of parts. There was no real, independent vehicle. From there, the king understood that the I was also just a combination of body, mind, emotions, and consciousness. The story teaches that everything in the universe is impermanent, without a fixed nature. Angulimala's story, the thief who became an arahant. Angulimala was once a notorious thief. He killed people and made a necklace out of their fingers. When he met the Buddha, he intended to kill him, but even though he tried to chase him, the Buddha calmly walked ahead and was not caught by him. Angulimala shouted, "Why didn't you stop?" The Buddha turned around and replied, "I stopped long ago, but you are the one who hasn't stopped." Angulimala was confused and asked what that meant. The Buddha explained that he had stopped greed, anger, and delusion, but Angulimala was still led astray by them. Moved by the Buddha's compassion and wisdom, Angulimala gave up violence, became a disciple, and eventually became an arahant. The story emphasizes that anyone can change and attain enlightenment if they are truly determined. The story of a woman who lost her son and a lesson on suffering. A woman named Kisagatami was deeply grieved when her only son died. She carried his body everywhere, begging people to save the child. Finally, she went to the Buddha. He did not refuse her, but told her to find a handful of mustard seeds from a family that had never experienced suffering or loss. Kisagatami searched, but no family could meet her condition. Finally, she realized that suffering is common to all. She returned to the Buddha, understood the truth of impermanence, and let go of her pain. From then on, she became one of the first enlightened nuns. The story teaches that all beings must experience suffering, but understanding and accepting impermanence will help us overcome it. The story of the Buddha and the slanderer. One day, while the Buddha was preaching, a man entered and cursed him severely. The Buddha remained silent and smiled compassionately. When the man stopped, the Buddha asked, "If someone gives you a gift and you do not accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" The man replied, "Of course it belongs to the person who gave it." The Buddha smiled and said, "Then the words you just said, I do not accept them. They still belong to you." The man was amazed and admired the Buddha's calmness. His story teaches that we should not pay attention to anger or insults from others, but keep our minds pure. The story of the elephant and the Buddha. One day, the Buddha and his disciples were passing through a forest where a ferocious elephant was released to attack them. When the elephant charged, everyone ran away in fear, but the Buddha stood still, calmly looking at the elephant with compassionate eyes. The elephant slowed down, looked at the Buddha, and knelt before him. The Buddha patted its head, spoke kind words, and the elephant became gentle. This story illustrates the power of compassion and equanimity. When our minds are free from Anger, even the most ferocious creatures can sense it and become peaceful. The monk and the prostitute. A famous prostitute named Ambapali once came to listen to the Buddha preach. She was despised by many people because of her profession, but the Buddha did not discriminate. He taught her about impermanence and the meaning of seeking true happiness. She then decided to give up her former profession, become a Buddhist monk, and use her wealth to build shelters for the poor and support the Sangha. The story emphasizes that Buddhism does not discriminate against anyone's background or past, as long as they have a good heart. The transformation of Angulimala. Angulimala was a notorious bandit who killed people and collected their fingers as trophies. One day, he encountered the Buddha and attempted to attack him. However, no matter how hard Angulimala chased, he could not catch up. Frustrated, he shouted, "Why don't you stop?" The Buddha calmly replied, "I have stopped. It is you who have not stopped." Confused, Angulimala asked for an explanation. The Buddha explained that he had to stop the cycle of greed, hatred, and ignorance while Angulimala was still trapped in it. Moved by the Buddha's wisdom and compassion, Angulimala renounced violence, became a disciple, and eventually attained enlightenment. This story demonstrates that even the most wicked can transform through understanding and effort. Kisagatami and the mustard seeds. Kisagatami was heartbroken when her only son died. Carrying his lifeless body, she pleaded with everyone to bring him back to life. Finally, she approached the Buddha. The Buddha told her, "Bring me a handful of mustard seeds from a household that has never experienced death or loss." She searched far and wide, but every household had its own tale of grief. Realizing that suffering is universal, Kisagatami returned to the Buddha. Understanding the impermanence of life, she let go of her grief and later became one of the first enlightened nuns. This story teaches that understanding impermanence helps us accept suffering and find peace. The Buddha and the man who insulted him. One day, while the Buddha was teaching, a man came and insulted him harshly. The Buddha remained silent and smiled with compassion. When the man finished, the Buddha asked, "If someone offers you a gift and you refuse to accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" The man replied, "To the one who offered it." The Buddha said, "Likewise, I do not accept your insults. They remain with you." The man was astonished by the Buddha's calmness and wisdom. This story illustrates the power of maintaining inner peace and not letting others' negativity affect us. The Buddha and the wild elephant. One day, the Buddha and his disciples were walking through a forest where a wild elephant was released to attack them. While the disciples panicked, the Buddha stood calmly and looked at the elephant with deep compassion. As the elephant charged, it slowed down, gazed at the Buddha, and knelt before him. The Buddha gently touched the elephant and spoke to it with kindness, calming its rage. This story shows that a mind free of hatred and filled with compassion can transform even the most aggressive beings. The courtesan Ambapali. Ambapali was a famous courtesan known for her beauty and charm. When she attended one of the Buddha's sermons, she was deeply moved by his teachings. Despite societal judgment, the Buddha treated her equally and preached the truth of impermanence and inner peace. Inspired, Ambapali renounced her old life, donated her wealth to help the poor, and became a devoted follower of Buddhism. This story highlights the Buddha's inclusive teachings and the potential for anyone to transform, regardless of their past. The Buddha and the dying bull. One day, the Buddha encountered a farmer whose bull had just died. Overwhelmed with grief, the farmer lashed out, blaming the Buddha for not protecting his bull. The Buddha replied with empathy, "My friend, your bull is gone, and anger will not bring him back. Let us instead reflect on the good your bull did in his lifetime and honor his contribution." These stories not only teach ethical values but also demonstrate the transformative power of Buddhist teachings. Viewing others through a lens of compassion, understanding, and non-judgment can lead to personal growth and harmonious relationships. Thank you for always following and supporting the channel. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the latest videos. And if you like this content, share the channel with your friends, family, or anyone who might be interested. Each of your shares is a seed that helps this field become greener.